Hey there, it is Emily with E Squared Photography. Erin is not here today as she is busy with her other job, so it is just me today. And today we are going to talk about why your photos might not be sharp and how we can fix that problem. Now, if you're new here, we have brand new videos every week, so make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications of future videos. We promise by the end of this video, you will have a better understanding as to maybe why some of your images that you're getting on your camera aren't as sharp and in focus as you'd like them to be. And make sure to stick around all the way until the end of the video because we have something special just for you. Okay, so let's take a look about what we are going to be covering today. I'm going to talk about the 5 most common reasons as to why your photos might not be sharp and how to fix them, and then we have a little free gift for you at the end of the video. Okay, so let's jump right in. So the very first mistake that might be happening is that you are using the wrong focus mode. If you have no idea what focus mode is, that is okay. That is something you can look at your camera manual, or you can just do a quick Google search to figure out how to change your focus mode on your camera. So when it comes to focus mode, you will see potentially AF-S or AF-C. Now, we always have our camera set to AFC, which stands for Autofocus Continuous. So this is really good. A lot of photographers will change it from AFS, which is more of a still shot, versus Autofocus Continuous for movement shots, but we keep it super simple and we always keep it at AFC on our camera, regardless of the shoot we're doing, just because it doesn't change what's in and out of focus if you change it back and forth. But it is really good when you have movement in your shots, with which a lot of times we do as far as families and sports and all of that stuff. So safest bet in our eyes is to keep your camera set to AFC, Autofocus Continuous. One quick thing, I forget about this, Canon users would be using AI Servo, it is called. Okay, so mistake number 2 comes down to shutter speed. Now, if you're not familiar with shutter speed, maybe you're still shooting using your camera in automatic mode. We really encourage you to switch over to manual mode, and we have a free training on manual mode if you're interested in that, where we dive deep into that, and you can find that link in the description below. But as far as shutter speed, whether you're shooting in automatic mode or manual mode, your shutter speed can play a huge role into getting sharp images. So when we are setting our shutter speed at a session, no matter what, whether the person's moving or not moving, we are going to be at least at a shutter speed of 100 or 1/250 or higher. We will never drop below that, because as soon as we do, we start to see out of focus and blurry images. Now, like I said, if you're still not comfortable with manual mode, join our free training, which you can find in the description below. Mistake number 3 that a lot of photographers maybe don't even know is happening is camera shake. A couple of things you can do to help fix this, because sometimes when you're moving and you're not still, you're moving around and your camera's kind of shaking, or if you're just naturally kind of a shaky person, then that is going to be an issue and can cause blurry images. So a couple of things to think about is some lenses right on the lens have a little switch to turn on image stabilization. Make sure that is on if your lens has that. Another thing we don't use, but you could use to help with it, is a tripod. Comment below for me right now and let me know, what is one of your biggest struggles other than getting sharp images as far as photography goes right now? Okay, mistake number 4 has to do with aperture. And again, this is another piece of manual mode. So if you're not super familiar, make sure to check out that free training in the description below. But let's talk about why aperture plays such a big role in potentially out of focus or blurry images. Sometimes if you have your aperture or f-stop too wide, if you have too wide of an aperture, for example, an f1.8, that's a very wide aperture that can cause out of focus and blurry images. So let's kind of talk about what aperture or f-stop setting we use in different scenarios. So if you look here at senior portraits, we are typically shooting at an aperture of f2.2. Because we only have one subject, we can really nail that focus on that subject, and then we can still get that creamy, dreamy background. As far as families go, because we need more people or more of the image in focus, we are going to shoot at an f3.2 or even higher if the family is larger. And then when we move into larger groups like wedding parties or really big extended families, we are typically at an f5 or even higher. All right, mistake number 5, the very last mistake, which can be a huge one. And for new photographers, sometimes it's stressful trying to figure out what to do in this situation. So mistake number 5 is where to focus. Maybe not focusing on the correct spot. So choosing the wrong autofocus point will cause blurry and out of focus images. So let's talk about in different scenarios where we would put our focus point during a session. So if you are just shooting one person like this here, you are going to focus on the eye closest to the camera. Now, pretty much in this image, she's looking straight onto the camera, but if you really look close, her one eye is slightly closer. And now if she really was turning her head away, you have one eye that's closer, you really do need to focus on that eye that's closer, because if you focus on the eye that's further away, your whole front of your face or your eye that's closer to you is going to be out of focus. In an image like this, where you have, let's just say 3 people and their faces are all on the same plane, which they pretty much are. Mom and dad maybe are slightly behind the little girl, but in this situation, we are going to focus on the center person. In an image like this, where we have 2 very distinct rows, we have the kids up front, mom and dad are behind them, we are going to focus on the kids. Now, in this scenario, because mom and dad, it doesn't look like it, but they are quite a bit further behind the kids, mom and dad are naturally going to be slightly out of focus, but that is okay for an image like this because we really want the attention on the kids for this shot. Now, one little tip that we can tell you is for this family here, we could have made this 2 separate rows, which you could kind of argue it is 2 separate rows, but if you look at their faces, we have made it a point to make sure mom bends down to get her face on the same plane as all of the rest of the family. As dad, the kids, they're all on that same line, that same plane. So in a situation like this, we're going to focus on dad or the brother, the 2 that are most centered in the image. We could even focus on mom, I suppose, too. Dad is technically the center of the image. In an image like this, where you have, again, 2 rows, we're gonna focus on the front and center, so the little sister. Now, in a situation like this, you do want to make sure that the girls that are behind are as close as they possibly can get to that front row. If they were to take a step back and we focused on the little girl, their faces are going to start to lose focus. Now, an image like this, where to focus, I am just going to tell you that in a situation like this, we are going to focus wherever we possibly can. It depends on how you focus, if you use back button focus, if you use face and eye and auto detect and stuff, all of that plays a role with how you're going to focus for a shot like this. But what we do in a shot like this is we take a ton of pictures so we can make sure to get some that are crisp, because you're naturally in a shot like this where they're moving really fast, you're going to get some that are out of focus. Okay, let's take a look at a few more here. In this one here, obviously the center of attention is the baby. We are going to focus on him. In this one, we had said, if you have 2 rows like you do have here, we're going to tell that back row to get as close as they can to the front row, and then we're gonna focus on the front and center person. Okay, so let's kind of do a recap on those 5 mistakes that can be made to get blurry and out of focus images. One is the autofocus mode. Like we said, we always keep it at autofocus continuous or AI servo. The shutter speed is your second one. You need to have a faster shutter speed. Camera shake, aperture, making sure you're setting the right aperture, and then where to focus. Those are the 5 most common mistakes that cause out of focus images. Okay, so I hope that this video was helpful and maybe brought some clarity into what might be causing your blurry and out of focus images. But if you want to dig even deeper into manual mode, into focus, into all of that, and follow us even behind the scenes at a couple of sessions, we have a free portrait photographer starter kit that you can check out, and the link is in the description below, so come join us inside of that free kit. And don't forget, if you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so we know to make more videos like this next time. And we will see you again soon.